What does it mean to live a life? Is the attempt to speak and express oneself better than choosing to be silent and thus die? Told in 12 successive tableaux, Jean-Luc Godard's Vivre explores these existential questions through Nana, an aspiring actress who transitions into prostitution in order to make ends meet. As Nana navigates the prostitution scene in Paris, we see a disruption of traditional narrative continuity triumphed by Hollywood. Some sequences see long, protracted takes that obfuscate characters' faces, and edits that seem jarring and unorthodox. As per Godard's own philosophy, the film's editing decisions are not simply made for stylistic and technical reasons, but rather to express a particular philosophy or moral stance. Godard famously said, "Tracking shots are a question of morality." Focusing on Vivre's opening sequence, we'll see just how Godard's editing might inform the film's morality. The film's opening sequence first sees Nana photographed in 3 discontinuous shots, her right profile facing left, a frontal close-up of Nana facing the camera, and then her left profile facing right. The music is intermittent, pausing after lingering on each of the 3 aforementioned shots, and then starting up again when the next shot resumes. Immediately we see that this differs from most classical Hollywood films, whose opening scores usually play on uninterrupted. It is as if each cut in this opening scene prompts the resumption of the narrative, and thus the music starts up again. Maureen Cherem writes that the film's intermittent opening makes it feel like a short structural film, with each cut reaffirming the patterned repetition of the opening scene. Cherem additionally writes that the alternation between music and silence accentuates its temporal unfolding. The cuts between these protracted shots of the different sides to her face, in tandem with the stopping and starting of music, accentuate the idea of time passing. To see her eyes blink, her throat contracting as she swallows, the subtle movements of her head as the linear temporal movement of the music is interrupted. In short, the opening scene is illustrative of the minute gestures of time passing and the disrupted linearity of time, which is further accentuated in the film's fragmentation into 12 tableaux. We can then glean further insight into Godard's ethical considerations on prostitution through the tripartite structure of the opening scene's editing. Just as Raoul says later in the film,
celles qui ont une expression, celles qui ont 2 expressions, celles qui ont 3 expressions.
The edits between the 3 different sides of Nana's face in the film's opening suggests that she falls into the latter type of Raoul's categorization. Further, when Paul recites an essay from one of his father's students, he says,
La poule est un animal qui se compose de l'extérieur et de l'intérieur. Si on enlève l'extérieur, il reste l'intérieur. Et quand on enlève l'intérieur, alors on voit l'âme.
The opening's montage between the 3 different sides of her face allows the viewer to see an interiority to her character, one that defies the flatness often attributed to Godard's characters. The editing of this scene is a cumulative effect. Each time the music restarts and the scene cuts, the viewer builds a fuller image of Nana's face, almost in cubist fashion. As we transition to the first tableau, we see 2 simultaneous images of Nana by virtue of the mirror. We stay with Nana, then cut to Paul, and cut back to Nana at a slightly more oblique angle, in violation of the 30-degree rule. Again, the traditional approach to editing is rejected, as the appearance of a jump cut jars the narrative, just as the opening scene does. The viewer is only shown the backs of both Nana and Paul, in direct opposition to the opening scene which featured Nana's face in close-up and from different angles. We are both offered a look into the emotional complexity of their relationship, while visually denied their facial expressions. Hence, the editing of this sequence both offers and denies a full look into the interiority of these characters. Ultimately, through jarring editing techniques that contribute to the non-classical approach of the film's linearity, Godard denies the viewer a fluid narrative experience that might have allowed the viewer to gain a deeper understanding of Nana, illustrating the way in which Nana resists being fully seen as she falls deeper into prostitution and then her eventual death.